headfirst into deconstructing a massive, viral breakthrough known as the Genius Switch program. Now, the source material here claims some pretty wild ties to suppressed NASA research. It says you can literally flip a biological dimmer switch hidden deep inside your brain just by using a simple audio frequency. So let's jump right in and see exactly what this is all about.
To kick things off, I want you to ask yourself a question that the presentation poses literally right out of the gate. Have you ever wondered why some people just seem to have an absolute superpower for making the right decisions? Think about historical giants like Leonardo da Vinci or modern high achievers like Elon Musk. They somehow see these amazing opportunities where the rest of us just see brick walls. They're solving complex problems in minutes, things that would take anyone else months. The program asks us to consider this. What if it's like they're playing the game of life with all the lights turned blazing on while the rest of us are just kind of stumbling around in the dark? And this really hits the nail on the head regarding the presentation's core premise. For years, we've been told that the difference between the genius and the average person is just raw talent, or, maybe just dumb luck. But the source material claims that's completely wrong. It argues there's an actual biological switch, a physical piece of hardware in your brain acting as a literal dimmer switch for your reality. According to the theory, most people, and it specifically points to populations in the US, are walking around with their switch turned almost all the way down. Not because they want to, of course, but because they have been conditioned to live that way by modern society. It's a super bold claim, right? It frames our everyday struggles not as personal failures, but as a biological suppression. Okay, let's dive into Section 1, the modern calcification problem. So the source identifies this genius switch as the pineal gland. It's this tiny little endocrine gland located smack in the center of your brain. The presentation asserts that this gland undergoes a very real physical phenomenon called calcification. According to their claims, the gland literally becomes covered in calcium phosphate crystals. Basically, it's turning to stone. When this physical hardening happens, the program states that your intuition just shuts off. Your ability to manifest what you want, poof, it disappears. And you end up trapped in this exhausting, endless loop of hard work with absolutely zero reward. Now, what exactly does the program blame for this calcification? Well, the presentation points the finger squarely at everyday elements of our modern life. It cites things like fluoride in our tap water, the various hidden toxins packed into processed foods, and that constant, inescapable electromagnetic noise radiating from our cell phones. The argument here is that these specific, everyday culprits are directly responsible for the biological calcification that keeps the average person feeling permanently stuck and uninspired. To really drive this point home, the source material uses a fantastic, powerful analogy. They say, think of it like a high-definition TV that's been covered in thick gray paint. I mean, the presentation explains that the signal is still there, right? The power is totally on, but you simply cannot see the picture. According to the theory, this is exactly why you might feel foggy, uninspired, or stuck in a rut. You aren't lazy. Actually, scratch that. You're just calcified. And their overarching message is that until you clear that thick, gray paint off the lens of your pineal gland, honestly, no amount of hard work is going to change your reality or your bank account.
Moving right along to Section 2, the frequency mechanism.
Now, what's really interesting about this is, if our brains are coated in this metaphorical gray paint, how on earth do we get it off? You obviously can't just scrub your brain with a wire brush. Well, the Genius Switch program claims you have to use frequency. This operates on the scientific principle of sympathetic resonance. It's the idea that literally everything in the universe has a frequency. Therefore, your ideal, unblocked, genius state has a very specific vibration attached to it too. The presentation claims that by using a precisely engineered audio track, the program can send a targeted resonance wave directly into the center of your brain to match and trigger this exact frequency. Let's break down how this builds into a step-by-step mechanical process. The source material outlines how this audio track functions over 4 distinct steps. First up, step 1. The user listens to a sophisticated combination of rhythmic pulses and frequencies. And as the source notes, this isn't just regular music you'd hear on the radio. Then, step 2. This creates a resonance wave that physically enters the brain. Step 3. This wave supposedly targets the pineal gland directly and works by gently vibrating those stubborn calcium phosphate deposits right loose. And finally, in step 4, as that calcification clears out, your neural pathways are essentially retuned from scratch.
The claimed result of this whole 4-step process is a massive shift in your brainwave activity. The presentation promises that within just minutes, your brain shifts out of that stressed-out everyday survival mode, which is characterized by beta brainwaves. Instead, it drops right into the genius state, which runs on gamma and theta brainwaves. The source claims that this is when the absolute magic happens. You supposedly begin to experience these incredible synchronicities. You might get an idea for a business that finally works out, or bump into the exact right person at the exact perfect time. The theory is that you are no longer desperately chasing success. You flip the switch that allows success to effortlessly find you.
All right, bringing us to Section 3, Application and Reported Evidence. I really want to draw your attention to this single number right here, 7. The presentation heavily emphasizes that unlocking this elusive genius state doesn't require you to spend endless hours meditating or reading dense 500-page textbooks or completely overhauling your diet. You don't even need to buy any clunky, expensive equipment. According to the source, all the protocol reportedly takes is 7 minutes a day and a simple pair of headphones. You can just throw them on while you're waking up in the morning or right before you drift off to sleep. They frame it as a completely passive retuning of your biological hardware. As for the evidence backing this up, the presentation relies pretty heavily on vivid anecdotal reports from alleged users. They describe the experience as a sudden lifting of the veil. Users reportedly feel this intense, sudden clarity, where everyday things that used to stress them out just instantly seem small, and the path to their goals becomes crystal clear. The source material sums it up perfectly with this quote. It's like upgrading your brain's operating system from a 1990s computer to a modern supercomputer. It really paints a picture of this dramatic, almost instantaneous shift in cognitive processing and emotional regulation.
Which leads us to Section 4, the offer and guarantee. So, what are they actually selling? The program is pitched as a special promotion bundle. When you decide to access the program to supposedly stop operating at a mere 10% capacity, you don't just get one single audio file. The inclusions listed here are the core Genius Switch audio track, plus several high-value bonuses. These include the Genius Visualization Guide and an instant flow state track. The presentation makes a point to note that these specific bonuses are designed to accelerate your results and, crucially, keep your biological switch permanently locked in the on position.
Now, recognizing that claims of frequency healing and pineal gland activation might sound a bit like science fiction to some folks, this source material prominently features a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. And the presentation's promise is incredibly specific. If you do not feel a massive shift in your clarity, your mood, and your finances within those first 2 months, you are entitled to a full, no-questions-asked refund. It is aggressively positioned as a completely risk-free trial of their audio technology.
Which brings us to the final thought posed by the source material. They present the viewer with a stark binary choice. Keep struggling in the dark, constantly wondering why life is so ridiculously hard, or flip the switch and finally meet your genius version. We've covered their claims about calcification, this fascinating theory of sympathetic resonance, and the super simple 7-minute daily protocol. So looking at everything we've mapped out on these slides today, what do you think? Do you believe a simple audio frequency holds the key to unlocking human potential? Are you ready to flip your switch? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those big questions, and I will see you next time.